Adios, mi amigos, from the kitchen, folks. Today, I'm going to have a go at making a tomato paste wash as quickly and as cheaply as possible. So here are today's key ingredients. I've got 4 kilograms of silver spoon sugar, and that cost me £4.28. I've got a tube of tomato paste, which was 60p, so that's £4.68. I've then got this Still Spirits Turbo Yeast, which also comes with this clean alcohol pouch and some finings. This was actually free because it came with my air still, so I've not actually paid for that. But I believe if you buy this in the shops, it's about a tenner or thereabouts. And then I'm using plain old water out the tap, or as I say in Barnsley, council pop. Let's see how it works out. So I've got my big pan in the sink, and I'm going to begin by filling that up with some hot water. So while that's filling, what's the rationale behind this? Well, I want to see how cheap you can actually make a decent sized tomato paste wash for. I'm going for 20 litres today, so if I can get 20 litres of wash at £4.68, I think I'm doing quite well. So I've got that filled about 2/3 of the way up, but let's get some heat on. Woof. Okay, so while my water is coming to a boil, I want to get my sugar in there, and I'm going to stir it in as I pour it, because I want it to dissolve, and this is granular sugar and it doesn't dissolve as easily as brewing sugar would. I don't want it to all be a big lump at the bottom and stick to the bottom, because this is quite a thin pan and it could burn to the bottom. So I am literally stirring and pouring gently. If you're a regular viewer of my films, you will know that I don't normally use this kind of sugar, and I don't normally use tap water. But the emphasis of today is to see how cheaply I can actually do this. And as this is going to go through a distiller anyway, then it shouldn't really matter too much that I'm using normal sugar and tap water, which is chlorinated, compared to spring water. Okay, so that's the first bag of sugar in. I'll chuck the next one in, you don't need to see me do that, and then I'll come back to you. Right, all of that is now in, and it seems to have dissolved almost instantaneously, which is great. Now you'll note that the physical volume of this has increased with adding the sugar to the water. There's probably now about 10 litres of liquid in here. So now I'm going to add my tomato puree into this. Now the tomato puree will act as some nutrition for the yeast. It will give it something to feed on, which will mean I should get a better end product. And I'm simply going to squeeze the entire tube of this into there. And you can see that that's changing the colour already as I get those ribbons in there. So I'm going to empty the entire tube. That's it. So you can see the tomato puree in the bottom there, and I'm simply now going to give this a stir around, and what I'm going to end up with is a red liquid, not dissimilar to a very thin tomato soup. Okay, that's now done. I can turn the heat off, and I now need to play the waiting game for this to cool down a little bit. Now I need that to cool down because my fermentation vessel of choice today is my Richie's fermentation bin, the big plastic bucket, and I don't fancy putting hot water into this. Anyway, I've got to clean and sanitise my bucket. That has got to cool down, so I'll come back to you this evening in about 3 hours' time. Catch you then. Hey folks, I'm back. It's 3 hours later. Let's crack on with this tomato paste wash. Okay, so the mixture in the pan is warm, but it's not hot by any means. So that needs to be transferred from there into the big bucket. But before that, I'm going to add some cold water first. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to fill it up to about the 5 litre mark. Okay, that's just over 5 litres of cold water in there now. Oh, so I've got the big pan, and trust me, it's heavy. Right, I'm going for a big pour. Oh, in it goes. The drama. Okay, so I'm on 17 litres at the minute. So I'm going to add some warm water into it. Not hot, warm. Right, I think I'm on just about 20 litres. Okay, looking at the scale, I think that's about right. Okay, I need to leave this to cool for a bit longer. It's still too warm. So I need to leave it to cool before I can take the original gravity. So I'll come back to you to take the gravity in about an hour or so. See you then. Okay folks, I'm back. It's time to get this brew together. So this is now in the bucket. It's still too warm for me to take the gravity, but I'm going to get it together anyway. I've taken a sample out of here and I've put it in the fridge, and I'll take the gravity from that. Okay, it's time for me to get the turbo yeast in there. Here it is. It says it takes 6 to 7 days from start to finish. Let's see what happens. Here goes. This is without a shadow of a doubt the most yeast I've ever put in any kind of brew. I've heard some negative things about this yeast, but do you know what? Let's just wait and see what happens. I won't judge it until I've tried it for myself. Understandably, it does smell very yeasty. I'm going to give it a stir so that it begins to mix in and fall in. I have no idea what sort of krausen this is going to build. I'm hoping it won't be too much of a krausen. There's not really much fruit matter in there other than the tomato paste, so fingers crossed it won't be too bad. That said, just to be on the safe side, I'm leaving it in the kitchen tonight. Next I've got this thing to add called turbo carbon. I've never heard of this before. It says clean alcohol liquid carbon solution for the ultimate spirit quality. Essential for removing impurities during fermentation for ultimate distillate quality. Big words. Okay, so turbo carbon's unique activated internal pore structure removes impurities that are not taken out by post-distillation filtration. Use with any turbo yeast for a cleaner, smoother tasting spirit. Continue to filter after distillation, choosing from the range of Still Spirits activated carbon products, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, instructions. Before opening, massage the sachet to ensure that it's lump-free. I've already done that. Add immediately after adding your choice of turbo yeast. I've literally just done that. Stir well to disperse. Let's crack on. Right, so I'll cut the corner. And in it goes. And it's black. Oh my word, that's horrible. It definitely doesn't look very pretty, that's for sure. It's completely and utterly changed the colour of what's in there. So there's some ugly spatters around the edge. Now the instructions said to give it a stir, ensure it was properly mixed. I will do as I'm told. God, it literally now is like a bucket of ink. I mean, you'd think this was stout or spray malt or something, wouldn't you, with that colour? Anyway, I think that's mixed. So now I'm going to add the lid onto my brew bucket. I've got no water in the airlock at present. There might be a tiny drip in the bottom, but I don't put it in yet because plastic buckets act like lungs and they've got a tendency to suck the airlock water in if you're not careful. And I want to avoid that. Now that has snapped nicely into place. These Rich's fermentation bins are very, very good. I definitely recommend them. Okay, that feels like a really good fit. So I'm just going to dribble a bit of water into the airlock, and that's enough. Okay, what's in the hydrometer has cooled to 20. Let's take the original gravity. Nice and buoyant. And I'm starting on an original gravity of 1.080, 1080. Okay, so that's my brew bucket labelled up. Tomato paste wash, 22nd of February 23, original gravity 1.080. Let's wait and see how long it takes for fermentation to begin. I'll be back either later this evening or tomorrow when we can look at some bubbles. See you then. Hey folks, a 24-hour later tomato paste wash update with regards to fermentation, and nothing at all is happening. I'm quite surprised. I thought that this was meant to be some rapid yeast, and I really thought that was going to go. So I've put this now onto my heat pad, and it's currently on 20, which is a good temperature for this, but I'm going to let it get up to 22, and then I'm going to, using a timer plug, have it come on and off so that it maintains a temperature of 22 until I'm seeing some good fermentation, and then I'll let it go down to 20. I'll get back to you when I can see some bubbles. Okay folks, day 3, and fermentation has begun. It is slow, but every 15 to 20 seconds I am getting a bubble come through the airlock. Nothing too exciting or dramatic yet, and certainly not the turbo pace that I was expecting. So at this point in time, I'm not as impressed as I thought I was going to be with the turbo yeast, but let's see what happens. It says it'll do it in a week. I'm not convinced at this point, but let's see. Okay, I'll give you an update later today or tomorrow. Okay folks, this is brew day 5, and as you can see, big bubbles have started in earnest. They actually started yesterday. I didn't film it yesterday, but this sort of behaviour began then, and I'm pretty happy with that. Looking through here, you can see that we have got some sort of krausen with the sort of uneven distribution of the meniscus, so that's definitely foamed up inside there. I haven't taken the lid off to look. There's obviously some warmth in there compared to outside. You can see the condensation, and that's because I'm on the heat pad. I'm between 20 and 22 degrees, and now this seems to be working just nicely. Okay, so the next film that you see from me will probably be when fermentation is complete. If anything dramatic happens along the way though, then I will include it. Okay, catch you later. Hey folks, quick tomato paste wash update from the kitchen. This is brew day 9. And this is still fermenting strongly. There's no sign of it abating yet. So the turbo yeast just doesn't seem to be that turbo. So in terms of speed, I'm not massively impressed with it, I've got to say. Anyway, let's hope the finished product is going to be decent. We'll see when it's finished. Catch you whenever that may be. Good morning from the kitchen folks. This is a tomato paste wash update. This is brew day 21, and this thing hasn't fully finished fermenting. Turbo yeast, what a joke. I won't be using that again ever. It isn't turbo at all. It's no faster than any other yeast that I've ever used. Anyway, let's have a look at the tomato paste wash. So it's been dreadful weather outside. We've had snow, we've had all sorts. We've had actually 30 centimetres of snow the other day. It's been terrible, but I've managed to keep the temperature of this consistent because I've had it stood on a heat mat. It's not on there anymore, and you can see that the temperature in the kitchen is 18.6 according to that. And according to this, this is on 18 as well. So it's easily warm enough for it to be fermenting, and there is still positive pressure in the airlock. But I'm now down to one bubble, about one bubble every 40 seconds or every 50 seconds. So to me that says now this is coming to an end, and I'm quite comfortable today now to put some finings in it. So this has been 3 weeks in the bin. I'm keen to get this over and done with now. I want to get this out of here and into my air still, and I'm not just using an air still today. I'm actually quite impatient to get on with this because I've been loaned an Air Still Pro by those lovely people at brewathome.shop. Now they've lent it me, they haven't given it to me, they've lent it to me so I can try it out and give you guys my opinion of what I think of the Air Still Pro from just an average user's point of view. So I'm really pleased to have a go with that. So the focus of today's film is the tomato paste wash itself. I'm not actually featuring the Air Still Pro in this film. That's going to go in subsequent films. Right, I've gabbed on enough. I think it's time to crack on with this. Right, let's have a look in that bucket. Oh! So I'm causing the bubbles to come through, by the way, by pressing the plastic. It's a very tight fit. I need to get something to help me get this off. There we go, a bit of brute force. It looks horrific. I'm going to show you. So you can't ever imagine this doing something that you could drink and enjoy, can you? It does look pretty vile. So the instructions with the finings say give it a really good stir until all the gas comes out of it. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm helping to degas it. I'm breaking up the surface and I'm mixing up the trub and the liquid together. The finings themselves should just take care of that. So the finings, which are turbo clear finings, this is what it says on the back of them. Within 24 hours, turbo clear removes over 90% of yeast and other unwanted compounds from the wash to prevent yeast cells from breaking open during the boil and introducing off flavours and smells into your distillate. So it's two parts, part A at the top and part B underneath. Part A, once fermentation is complete, stir the wash vigorously, done that. Once degassed, add the contents of part A and stir well and then leave to stand for 1 hour. Okay, so I'm just going to give it one more swish around. And that's gone in there. I remember many years ago when I first ever started to do homebrew with my dad. We're talking about sort of early 1980s. We used to use an egg white for finings. Right, I've got to put the lid back on now and leave it for an hour. I'll be back. Okay folks, it's been an hour, had a shower, time to crack on. Yeah, still looks awful. I've had a bit of trubbiness come to the top. Now it says just to give it a little bit of a stir now, not to go too mad with it, so I'll just give it a bit of movement. Now I've got to add finings B by distributing it around like so. Just giving it a gentle agitation on the surface, no more. So it's lid back on. Okay, I've got to wait 24 hours before seeing what this looks like. I'm off to London for the day. I'm going to the Saatchi Gallery to see a graffiti art exhibition. Should be good. So I'm back this evening. We'll have a look at it this evening and then we'll check it out tomorrow. Okay, see you later, kids. Okay, I'm back from London and I'm not in the kitchen, as you can tell. I'm in the entrance porch. And I've moved this in here overnight because it's still black, so the finings haven't done anything so far. But it's now snowed outside and we're in minus temperatures. So hopefully the coldness will help everything drop to the bottom. So we'll have an update tomorrow. Catch you then. And now the next morning. And you can clearly see that there is a sediment line at the bottom. And yeah, it might still be darker than water would be, but I reckon that that's cleared up nicely. I think we need to look inside it, don't we? Actually, I won't look inside it today because I am in a little bit of a hurry actually. I've got to get to Harrogate. I'm working there for a couple of days. So when I come back from Harrogate in 2 days' time, then I'll open it, then I'll take the final gravity, rack it into demijohns and get distilling. Right, see you Friday. Good early morning from the kitchen, folks. It's brew day 24 and now today I'm getting my tomato paste wash out of the big bucket. I'm racking it into some demijohns and I'm also going to begin to put it into the air still and the Air Still Pro. Now this film's going to finish at the point of me racking and me putting it into the Air Still. I'm not going to open the Air Still Pro in this film. I'm just showing you it's there, it exists. But we'll come to that in another film. Okay, I'm going to get on with it. So first things first, I want to get into the bucket. Oh, still stiff. There we go. Not quite gently, but you know, it works. Right. Oh, pungent. But yes, it looks quite different. So this is what I've now got. It literally looks like I'm looking into a pond. There is the odd bubble emerging from the bottom. But as far as I'm concerned, this is done. So it was obvious to see in there that there was plenty of stuff floating on top. So when I actually take this out of here today, I'm going to use a funnel and the filter, which is just from my coffee machine. Before I take any out though, I want to take the final gravity for the tomato paste wash so I can work out the alcohol by volume. That hit the bottom and bounce back up. And I'm on a final gravity of 0.998. So I'm going to work out the alcohol by volume of the tomato paste wash. So I started on an original gravity of 1.080. I deduct from that the final gravity of 0.998, which equals 0.082, and then I multiply this by 131.25, which equals 10.76%. So let's just say 10.8%, rounding that up. I'm happy enough with that. That is a respectable percentage to be going into the air still. So the first lot that comes out I'm going to put into my air still. So I've got this there and I'm going to hold that above it and simply use the jug. I'm not going to bother siphoning. And I've actually taken a lot of the floating material off the top in that. You can see it in there. So I'll pour it through here. So you can see now the top is a lot clearer, there's much less of the black stuff floating on there. This is what's gone into the air still so far, that looks nice and clear, and you can see that the filter has done its job because there are plenty of little black bits in there. So before I go any further, I'm just going to put the lid onto this air still. So this is my old air still, I forgot what the model is it T1000 or was that a Terminator? I can't remember. But anyway, I'm going to put that to one side for now. And I'm going to come back to that later in a separate film. Today, we're just looking at this. So now, in much the same way, I'm going to transfer as much of this as I can into these demijohns just here. And I'm simply doing that because it's easier to manage it once it's in the demijohns. So again, as before, using the jug, 2 litres at a time, through the filter and the funnel into the demijohn. So I've got a lot of back and forth action and a lot of pouring to do now. I don't really think you need to watch me do that, so I will come back to you when I've completed doing this. Right, let's have a look at what I've got. So first of all, the first 4 litres that came out has gone into the air still. And then each of the demijohns holds 4.5 litres or 4.54 litres as it actually is. So this was the second lot that came out, and that is a very clear demijohn. You can see completely through it. And then it gets a little bit darker on the second one. This is a bit of grey. And then the third one is charcoal grey black. So you can see the progression as I've got nearer to the bottom of the bucket, it's got darker and darker. Now the filter worked just fine. These are microparticles that have got through here. So these two I'm going to put somewhere cold and everything that's in there will fall to the bottom. But this one today is absolutely fine to go into the Air Still Pro. Okay, I'm going to finish this film here by reflecting on lessons learned. So first of all, this has cost me £4.88. Okay, that's all I've spent in order to do this. And that works out at about 28 pence a litre for something which is over 10%, 10.8%. That's not bad going at all. That's pretty economic. Now, if I'd bought that turbo yeast, it would have cost me £10 and therefore the price goes up. It isn't worth it. I could have done that with bread yeast. The amount of time it's taken tells me that the turbo yeast is just pretty rubbish, to be quite honest. So if I was going to do this again for as cheap as I could again, I would be using the cheapest yeast I could find. Because let's face it, it's going through a distiller anyway, and then it's going to get flavoured. So, you know, let's just not worry about that. So, yeah, £4.88, 17.6 litres of 10.76% spirit. I'm happy enough with that. I hope you've enjoyed the film. Look out for my future films where I'm going to be using the Air Still and the Air Still Pro. I'll be comparing, I'll be unboxing the Air Still Pro and talking you through what I think of it. It's been a pleasure. Catch you next time, folks. The film that you've just watched is a Moss Home and Garden production. You can find more by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. I'd just like to say thank you very much for supporting my YouTube channel and for watching my films. It really is very much appreciated. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to receive future updates about the home and garden films which I upload. You can find my YouTube channel by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. Please click on the red subscribe button. When you've done that, a little bell will appear. If you press that also, then you'll get future updates about the films which I upload. If you like my films, if you like my style of filming, then you might also like my travel channel, which you will find by going to youtube.com/Stuart Moss or type in www.mosstravel.tv. Again, if you could subscribe to that channel, it would be hugely appreciated. If you'd like to get Moss Home and Garden updates on Facebook, then please open Facebook and do a search for Moss Home and Garden, and you will find the page. If you like the page, then you will get future updates on there. And if you'd like to connect on Instagram for home, garden and travel photography, as well as some stories, then my username is StuMoss, STUMOSS. If you'd like to connect on Twitter, then my username is @StuartMoss. And if you'd like to contact me about film usage or any other issue, please just email me on stewmosshomegarden@gmail.com. Once again, thank you very much for supporting my channel, for watching my films. I do appreciate it. I'd just like you all to have a great day.